Pete Nakos of On 3 has finally opened up about the Nico Iamaleava situation that led to Iamaleava transferring on Friday in April. And for those who don't remember, Pete Nakos was the one who reported the news of Nico Iamaleava asking for more money. That came on a Thursday. Nico Iamaleava skipped practice on Friday and then was in the portal on Saturday. That's how that played out. Pete Nakos recently Pete Nakos was one who actually initially broke the story. I believe it was on April the 10th. I think that was on a Wednesday. But Nakos, on a recent podcast, it was the Graham Link and Mac Lane show, talked about his experience of breaking the Iamaleava news. And here's what he said. He said, quote, "I'm the kind of guy who wakes up and really wants to get to the office. I'm not going to sleep in. But that day I had a doctor's appointment, so I was like, all right, my day is already off. What's going to happen when I walk in at 10 a.m.? I can't imagine it's going to be that eventful of a day. And I got a phone call from a source, and it's like, hey, we're pretty confident Nico's going to enter the transfer portal. And I'm like, what? You're screwing with me. I don't believe you. But they're like, no, stuff went down yesterday, and we think he can go in the portal. And this was a source that had nothing to do with Tennessee or Nico's camp, but someone in the college football space who would know what they're talking about. And, the funny thing in hindsight is that ESPN did a deep dive into all this, I don't know, like 2 weeks after it happened. And they did come out and say Nico made some comments on Wednesday. So that was funny to read. But I got the call on Thursday, and then your radar goes up. You start trying to make the phone calls like, okay, what's going on? And you quickly discover that Tennessee is in this situation where it's clear that Nico's camp would like some more money before the 2025 season kicks off. And the portal opens in 5 or 6 days. The spring game's in 2 days. It's all going to come to a tipping point. So I talked to Tennessee. I talked to his dad that day too, had a phone call with him where he basically told me to lose his number. And we get to the point where it's like, okay, so we all know that this is going on. We're not just going to sit here and wait for it to happen. So we decided to, after talking to plenty of sources and trying to vet this thing, we decided to put out that we're comfortable reporting that there are active negotiations, that Nico is making $2.4 million. He loves Josh Heupel. He loves Tennessee, but they want more money. And not everyone loved that. And that's fine. And I know you're going to ask me about this, but as a reporter and doing what I do, I'm not trying to dance on a grave at the end of the day, right? Obviously, when I report something, I stand by it. I have the sources that say it, and I trust my sources. I vetted my sources, and I stand by it. So when I report the story, it's not to get one over on someone, but I still can't believe everything went down the way it did after we hit publish on that story. Driving home that day, I definitely knew I was dragged all across social media, and it wasn't a fun day. And Nico's dad sent me some text messages too. It wasn't ideal, and it wasn't a good spot to be in. And people were coming out trying to report things too, of like, hey, this is wrong. This is not what we're hearing. And then Friday happened, Nico missing practice, and the rest was history. Now, there is a lot interesting about this because in case we forget, there's two narratives and there's two camps out here. One camp is that Nico was actively negotiating more money. Tennessee stood their ground and Nico hit the transfer portal. Another camp is that Nico was trying to force Josh Heupel to implement more of a pro-style offense and wanted more things that would develop him for the NFL, and that's why he transferred. And then there's another camp of sources we have close to Tennessee that Nico was negotiating whatever with Josh Heupel, but then the Pete Nakos report came out, and he didn't like that, and his camp didn't like that, and that's why he entered the transfer portal. So let me throw out one of the other sides of this story. Because one, when that story happened, Nico Iamaleava's father came out and said, quote, more games being played off the field than on the field. B-word Nakos from On 3 Sports called and asked me directly. I told him I had no idea on what he's talking about. He said his close source said that he trusts with his life from the University of Tennessee staff gave him the information. So y'all can ask them what's going on because it ain't from us. So we're going to play 4 downs here because there are 3 ways this could have gone. And one of the ways is why Nico entered the portal. But this is based on Pete Nakos' reporting. So there are 3 ways Nico Iamaleava, 3 reasons he could have entered the portal. And why was he entering the portal? And I'm going to give you what Joel Klatt had said back in April, just to remind you guys, because there were conflicting reports. Klatt said the news that he was demanding more money, Tennessee said no, pound sand, and now he's leaving. He said, I'm here to tell you there's a lot more to that story. That is a narrative being pushed, and I think that makes sense. He's a 20 to 21-year-old kid, and now he's alone and teamless with no PR behind him whatsoever, while Tennessee has their entire apparatus and fan base against the kid. Of course, this is the narrative that's going to be pushed. He said, did he demand more money this is Joel Klatt saying, did he demand more money, him or his people? Probably. Did he also leave? I've been told, asked that the offense grow a little bit because of what I was just discussing about the draft process for quarterbacks going to the NFL. Yes, he did. And I think he was unhappy. And I think his people and his team were unhappy with the way that spring ball was going, in particular, seeing that the offense was not changing and was not growing. This is the old Art Briles Baylor offense that Tennessee uses. No quarterback has really succeeded going from that offense into the NFL. So there was some discussion about his growth of the offense that I don't feel like they thought took place. So there's more to this story than just money. There always is. And unfortunately for him, he's being pitted as the villain in this story. Now, did he ask for more money? Probably, likely. Who's the real villain in this story, though? Is it Tennessee? No. Is it Josh Heupel? No. Is it the boosters? No. Is it Nico Iamaleava? No. It is the NCAA. They abdicated their responsibility to govern the sport. Now, there could certainly be some truth with that, because the talk of Iamaleava entering the portal didn't come until the end of spring, which could suggest that maybe they were negotiating more money and trying to get the offense to develop a little bit, and they were frustrated with the way the offense played out. But we're going to play a little Four Downs, and Four Downs brought to you by Ted Russell Ford, and we're going to give you the 3 possible reasons he could have left, and then we'll go to 4th down. What is the most likely reason? So, again, 4 Downs brought to you by Ted Russell Ford. Cooper Mays would like to tell you guys all to like and subscribe. And we say from Cooper Mays, we say from Coop, 1st down. Reasons Nico Iamaleava may have left UT. 1st down. He wanted more money, and Tennessee said no. Now, that's the most possible scenario. That's where I believe Pete Nakos got his reporting about the more money. Joel Klatt's also right, though, that the University of Tennessee has their entire PR campaign behind him. It's a lot easier to tell somebody to make a kid look like he was just wanting more money as opposed to wanting the offense to change a little bit. Tennessee, if Pete Nakos' sources are leaking things to him and they are affiliated with Tennessee, then you could see how Tennessee, knowing that Iamaleava may have been planning to transfer because he was upset with the offense, would go ahead and get in front of this with this PR. But the more money situation is plausible when we're hearing that he already got $8 million and that they were negotiating more. He was getting $2.4 million. We're hearing a lot of that. So that's plausible. 2nd down from Cooper Mays. Nico Iamaleava wanted the offense to change. Now, there's a flaw with this argument, which is that Nico Iamaleava knew what he committed to when he went to Tennessee, which is, we've talked about this. You don't commit to Tennessee to develop as a quarterback. You commit to Tennessee to put up video game numbers. That's what you do. So it's weird that he would commit and not expect to do that. But that's where we're landing with Nico Iamaleava, that there's this talk that he wanted the offense to develop a little better for him. But then he goes and enters the portal, and he lands at UCLA with the offensive coordinator who may be trying to run more pro concepts, but at the same time, and Tino Sinceri has never been a full-time sole offensive coordinator, so that just doesn't make sense. Tennessee center Cooper Mays, 3rd down. Nico Iamaleava left because the Pete Nakos report came out. Now, this is one that his camp's not saying, nor is Tennessee saying, but there could be a belief that there was negotiations going on. The Pete Nakos report came out, and Nico Iamaleava and his camp didn't like the Pete Nakos report came out because they felt that somebody with Tennessee leaked it. We do know from the Chris Lowe reporting, somebody with Tennessee, there was a player who Nico told he was transferring, went and talked to Josh Heupel. Josh Heupel talked to Nico. So that's 3rd down. It's a possibility. Is it likely? I don't know. We come with 4th down next. 4 Downs brought to you by Ted Russell Ford.
A beacon of hope in a world of high prices. Look to the skies, Knoxville. Super Savings is here. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 volume Ford dealer. Employee pricing is here. You pay what we pay on all new Ford models. Come see the super dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive, or Kingston Pike.
4 Downs brought to you by Ted Russell Ford. All SEC center Cooper Mays bringing your 4th down. Why did Nico Iamaleava leave Tennessee? Could it be a combination of the things? Could it be a combination of the money, the offense, and the Pete Nakos report? Based on what Pete Nakos is talking about now, and Pete Nakos, I totally support Pete Nakos and all the reporting he did. I also believe in the Joel Klatt reporting. I believe it's a combination of things. I believe Nico knew that this offense wasn't developing him for the NFL. But I believe he would have looked past that for the $4 million as opposed to 2.4. I don't care what anybody says, he would have. So I believe Nico knew the offense was developing him for the NFL. I also believe that Nico firmly wanted more money and was negotiated. Here's how I think this went down. Nico and his camp were in ongoing negotiations for more money. Spring practice plays out. Nico's frustrating. Nico's camp's frustrated. He's not getting more money. They're also frustrated that the offense is not changing at all to develop him for the NFL. And the frustration about more money, confirmation bias, they tell themselves that they don't like the offense and that they don't like the offense too. The week of the spring game, Nico tells a teammate or two that he's going to transfer from Tennessee. A teammate goes to Josh Heupel. Josh Heupel confronts Nico, believes he's being lied to. And then the University of Tennessee has sources leak the story to Pete Nakos to get ahead of it. And then I do believe because that story was leaked, while there still may have been ongoing negotiations, the Iamaleava family was upset about that. They were already looking at transferring, and they say, we're done. We're going to go ahead and leave and walk out. That's how I think it played out. I think it was a combination of factors. I know not everybody's going to agree with me on that, and that's fine. I think some people are just going to say more money. But I think we have to be fair here and say that oftentimes it is a combination of factors. And the whole question of why did Nico Iamaleava leave Tennessee? More money, the offense, Pete Nakos leaking his report, a combination of things. 10 votes so far. 50% say more money. 40% say a combination of things, and 10% say Pete Nakos leaving his report.